Good morning. Welcome to another day of Mirador television. This time back in our familiar surroundings, the Black Horse Inn. And I managed to get in about 30 seconds ahead of Declan this morning. He came pounding in, smacked my fingers because I signed for the beer. Oh dear. But anyway, what I can tell you is I know personally that the pub is well stuck with beer and ale and all the good things that make a decent pub. So you can safely come to the Black Horse today and know that you'll get a drink. So I'm fiddling around here trying to see if I can get us on YouTube. It says skip. I've just been listening to, I had just a minute or two. I've just been listening to Steve Harley and Come Up and See Me. Now, I'm not very sophisticated when it comes to music of any sort, but that to me is one of the best of modern songs. And I don't think we'll ever see any better, because I believe Steve Harley died just recently. Forgive me, Steve, if I actually have got that wrong. But it's certainly not us on there. But Steve Harley was absolutely superb. He died a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, the guru, the chief of staff. He hovers there all the time, waiting for me to make a mistake. And then he shows his knowledge and we say, "Oh, this is a." He's some pup, that deck, I'll tell you. It's worth coming to the Black Horse just to see him.
17th of March, he passed away.
17th of March. Well, I remember seeing him on the original of Come Up and See Me. It was absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant then, and it's brilliant now. And he really is probably an unsung hero. Yes, he's recognized in musical circles, but not completely recognized in the general public. And he should be, because he is very good. And I will play that till the cows come home. Incidentally, one of the best bits of him singing that appears in the movie The Full Monty. They play a clip of it just as they've been naughty. They've kicked a football. I think it's a kick of football where they shouldn't, and they've taken off, and they leap over garden fences and so on and so forth. The Full Monty, of course, being a story about some steel workers in Sheffield put out of work, made redundant, and don't know what to do. And so because their wives are giving them stick, and then go and see a male stripping show, they decide that they will do. Excuse me, got a bit of a frog in the throat. They decide that they're going to do the Full Monty. They're going to do the total strip, and it's the story of them rehearsing and practicing and so on, and it is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It swept the world, although I'm told that in the United States they had to put subtitles because the North Midland accents were so fierce that nobody could understand the dialogue. But it is a terrific movie, and Steve Harley is is only a vignette appearance in it. But thank God they chose somebody of such quality. Anyway, that's my start to the day, and I've been patiently sitting here watching the world go by, and it's quite nice this morning. Really, the sun isn't shining, but it's warm. There's only a little bit of drizzle there. I've got rid of the frog. Now I've got to get rid of the toad. He was asleep there. He was asleep at the switch. The toad, of course, being, well, actually, sitting behind me, I have the world champion toad pitcher. Eh? Well, it's a former. Yeah. I mean, we're
on the current league team champion. We won the team cup.
You won the team cup.
Yeah, so we're the league champions. In the cup.
Right.
It's a bit like the FA Cup.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it was the World Championships, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know many world champions, but by golly, I got one sitting behind me. And he didn't quite regain it, but he's going to next time.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're talking about having a challenge match here with one of the better pub sides from, somewhere in Sussex, right? Or Kent.
One of the Brighton teams.
One of the Brighton teams, yeah. I keep forgetting that Brighton is a law unto itself now. It's not part of Sussex East or West. Anyway, there we go. And it's a great evening, a lovely evening. Everybody gets really wound up, more than darts, actually. And so Toad Championships, or a challenge match. Here we come to the Black Horse. That'll be some evening, I'll tell you. And we're trying to get our friend Charles to come and make sure that the cameras are all in the right place. Because as you probably noticed, while all of us have the gift of the gab, a few of us have the gift of trying to get the cameras right and the internet right and so on and so forth. We need an expert, particularly if we've got an important thing like a Toad Championship match. So anyway, that's in the works. And what more can I say? I can't say much more, I don't think. I can't say much more at all. So I'm going to go to the news. As the Chief of Staff says, Declan says, the King has made the front page of the Times. Back in harness. And I think that, much is said about royalty, but I think it's going to give a lot of people a boost if, in fact, the King has managed to curb his cancer. We don't know exactly what sort of cancer it was, but if he has curbed it, if he's controlled it, that's going to give a lot of people a lot of hope. Now, I also learned something else, that there is a choir that is called Let's Beat Parkinson's Choir, which sings out of the House of Friendship on School Hill. And that means that I simply have got to get this person on. I don't have to tell you again and again and again, although I will, is I've got Parkinson's, and I'm not selfish about it. I don't really want to. Well, yes, I do. It would be nice to discover a cure for me, but I think it's a bit too late. All I hope is that there is a cure for people to stop them going through what I go through and what other people who've got Parkinson's go through. It ain't pleasant, let me tell you. It isn't pleasant. And sometimes I do find it a little difficult to laugh at it and swear at it and tell it to bugger off. But I do. So, let's keep up the Parkinson's thing. And I have to say, I can't say that I'm chummy with Jeremy Paxman, but I did work with him very briefly, and I quite like the guy. In fact, he's quite a nice guy. It's all a veneer, him curling his lip. And he belongs to a group called Movers and Shakers, I think it is. And they do a podcast. And they have started to make quite a lot of inroads. They have managed to get to number 10 and presented a petition to say more should be done for people with Parkinson's. And I agree with that. Too damn true. So why don't I call those people in the Mirador circus to do the same? Let's get rid of Parkinson's. Right? Let's get rid of Parkinson's. Can you remember that message and can you pass it on? It is important. It's important for a whole host of people. There are some beyond redemption, but then I'm beyond redemption on all sorts of things. So I just pin it to the queue. Let's get rid of Parkinson's. Let's do it. Let us do it. Let's beat the bastard. Yeah, and we can then satisfactorily carry on with all sorts of other things. Get on with telly, for one thing, instead of having me moaning from the rooftops. I'm feeling very well today. No, I don't do that. It has to be pretty damn bad for me to bow out. Anyway, as you can see, I'm not feeling sorry for myself today. By golly, I was on Sunday. Oh, feel sorry? If you want to see somebody feeling sorry for themselves, it's me. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've practiced hard over the years. I can feel sorry for myself when I want to. Oh, come on, Keith, stop rabbiting on. Let's get on with it, and let's see what's happening in the news today. Yes, let's. Well, let's see. I can't see. I think. Oops. I can't see the news headlines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call them up again. Ooh, I'm in heavy water here. Never mind. Normally, let's get rid of that. And let's put up papers. Here we are. Not what I'm used to, but the Sun. A sword maniac tasered and held. Schoolboy schoolboy killed and 4 others hurt. Cop almost had his hand severed. A boy 14 never stood a chance. Well, that's the Mirror. It is pretty gruesome stuff today. So let's continue. He said, when I get myself all mucked up, boy, do I get myself mucked up. The BBC papers. By gum, lad. There's nothing like a good muck-up. It's okay. The Daily Mail. Prostate scans that could cut deaths by 40%. Well, our good friend Dr. Mark Maybe will be pleased to hear that. Now, I am worried silly because I thought today was Tuesday. I lost today. How awful! I'm going to go and see whether I can get hold of Mark maybe now. Oh dear, fancy that. Never mind. DeManio rules. As I never tire of telling people, Jack DeManio was a BBC DJ, I don't think they call them DJs, and presenter in the 50s or the 60s or thereabouts, who could never get anything right. Never. Although one suspects he may well have he may well have deliberately played on that, but he always got the weather wrong, he got the news wrong, he got timings wrong, he got the introducing wrong programs, you name it. And people loved him for it. Out of all the DJs of that era, Jack DeManio stands out, and all because he got it wrong. Now, why did I go down that route? Because I was getting something wrong. Prostate scans that could cut deaths by 40%. Well, I don't know that I'll have to go back and read. The UK is leading a prostate cancer revolution, which could prevent 4 in 10 deaths from the disease. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Right, the Sun. Once again, boy 14 never stood a chance. A boy aged 14 died, and 4 people were wounded when I can't read that. But anyway, that's the gist of the of the story. The Daily Telegraph. Schoolboy killed in daylight sword rampage. The Times. Immigration levels fall amid visas crackdown. Well, the Times has also got King Charles III on the front page, grasping a nosegay, I think we call it. I think that's the word, a nosegay, and waving it to the crowd, just to show how well he is. The Mirror we've already got, I think, have we not? Yes, we have. A sword attack horror. The Daily Express. Boy 14 killed in horror sword attack. The Guardian. 22 minutes of horror. Boy killed in sword rampage. The Daily Star. Make Britain great again. Vote Binface. I think what it's saying is let's keep the country clean. The Financial Times. Quinn startles investors with notice to step down after 5 years as HSBC chief. Oh, God, I got some dealings with them. The Eye. Boy 14 killed on his way to school in horror sword attack. Yes. The Daily Record, which is Scottish. Let's have a look at the Scotsman. Swinney, the new Humza. Well, they're forecasting who's going to take over from Humza, who quit yesterday. The Scotsman. Forbes more popular with public than Swinney. That's in a poll. So whoever the SNP putting up as leader is less popular than some other member who could take over. The Metro. Courage of sword cops. Well, that's to do with the boy being hacked to death. The Independent, the Rwanda flight farce. Tories hunt for 3,500 missing immigrants. It's really, I'm sorry. I like to believe in my fellow man. I like to think that we have got the bottle to get ourselves going and to beat all the environmental debits, if you like, that we've got against us. But you know, there are so many who are so naive, right? Listen, we're going to send you to Rwanda. Now off you go and behave yourselves until such time as we're ready to collect you. What? You're not there? Ha 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 ha! God, I mean, I think, to be quite honest with you, to bring any sort of semblance of law and order and force back to Britain, we've got to start getting tough, and not with old age pensioners who have perhaps cheated for a fiver on one of their benefits. But the real people who are shying away from authority, let's start getting it right. You get me so annoyed because at all levels of governance now, you don't understand what your fellow man is about. You're a colony unto yourself, and you should not be calling the shots. It's ridiculous and farcical. It is not fair, on the average citizen, and it does nothing to establish credibility of law and order for any political party. Incredible. Incredible. Well, The Guardian. 22 minutes of horror. Boy killed in sword rampage. The Daily Express. Boy 14 killed in horror sword attack. Financial Times. Quinn startles investors with notice to step down after 5 years at HSBC. Well, there we go. There we go. Now I've got to try and figure out where we are. There we go. StreamYard. That's us. And that's the Black Horse. And that's looking out onto the windows. Have we got the weather? Well, I hope that we've got the weather somewhere, because it won't go away. Ooh. No, that didn't bring it up. So let's have another go. Here we go. Lewis, the United Kingdom. It says only 13 degrees Fahrenheit, or perhaps that's the temperature now, because the other forecast said it might reach as much as 17 today. It's rather nice. That's rather balmy, with a little drizzle and not much wind. So it's not a bad day out there, but it's a bit misty, a bit foggy. Actually, the fog isn't showing anymore on our camera that's pointed out into the great wide expanse of Lewis. They're a couple taking a child to school. Well, actually, it's a mother with two little children taking them to school. So all is well with the world out there. Now, while we're on the papers, let's Mousetrap. Cunning lab rodents take the mickey. When scientists work with laboratory mice, it is usually assumed that the humans are the ones doing the research. A study suggests, however, that the rodents may often be surreptitiously carrying out their own experiments by purposely making mistakes. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Now, I'm not sure whether I'm holding up because I've cocked up a few things, but let us try again to let's have a look and see whether we can now get back to sending out an invitation to Philip, who may be back. He may be back from taking his wife to work. I don't know why how it wants to verify. Enter your password. I haven't a clue what the hell it is. We'll just have to. Oh, wait a minute. I wonder if I do remember what it is. I bet you this is wrong. It always is whenever I get cracking on this. No, let's not use another account. Let's just forget it for a moment. Right. Well, he's not due until 10. And what I'll do is I'll bow out totally, or no, he's not back yet. But I know that Philip is becoming increasingly popular the more you see of him. Interesting man. Very good presenter. Very hardworking for Mirador. All around good guy. We're all around good guys. So from the chief of staff on down through the ranks. So this is the place to be. Mirador Television. We're all as wacky as old hell. But we certainly do have amongst us the knowledge to be able to give you a pretty fair picture of what's going on in our world. So that's what we'll do. Now, I'm going to play something that I played the other day. Well, I'm going to play it again. Because we need to be reminded about the man who really stood head and shoulders above any politician locally. It's no longer with us, but who established a secret garden, which is slowly beginning to disintegrate. And we should all of us, whether we're politicians or not, hang our heads in shame. I don't notice too many people getting their fingers dirty establishing something similar in Lewis. So let's just play it. This is the thing from when he was putting it together. Okay. All right.
Hello, here we are at what was Pinwell Lane. It ran up through here to the top of the High Street. It became closed off some years ago, and this land is now called Manorial Waste. And we have to thank Every, the great Lewis ironmaster, for bringing the gateway from the Grey Friars Franciscan Priory here. This is the only bit that remains. The Premier Inn is now on the site and had been a railway station before. This is the much vaunted secret garden. Until just a few years ago, it was covered in weeds, brambles, and goodness knows what else. I suggested to the friends of Lewis that it would be better, considering its location behind this ancient gateway, if we could cultivate it a bit. And aided by Jane Tyra and Gillian Ross, I've managed to turn it into this. I'm somewhat embarrassed to say a lot of people keep coming to take photos of it. And I can see there's an overturned pot I must rescue. But here we are. This is one of the better examples of the fruits of my labours. And I hope it gives you pleasure. Thank you. And this, the family burial place of William Edwin and Anne Baxter. And dear little Emily in amongst the undergrowth somewhere. The hollyhocks will be butchered this week. But it is rather nice, the bizarre colours matching exactly how Victorian colour printing was done. But it will get a tidy up this week, I promise. Because it'll be me that does it. Oh, and the bees. I'm so pleased to see bees and butterflies around here. There is one feeding. Isn't that wonderful? There's one bee I've saved. It's easy to get lost in the middle of this. See, zinnias, nearly 3 foot tall. They're only supposed to grow a foot. Must have been a good horse. So much colour. Well, I don't think death should be sombre. It should always be a bit bright and jolly. We'll just move this. Let the colour radiate. That's it. It looks good from the other end, don't it? Like all shows, backstage is not so pretty. Mind the bricks behind you.
the late councillor and sometime mayor, Stephen Catlin. Much missed for his wisdom, knowledge, but above all, for his ability to understand what beauty means to a town. And his own version of beauty, the flora, I was going to say the fauna. I don't know whether he looked after fauna or not. But certainly the flora, with his way of making Lewis remarkably beautiful. And it's been lost. It's been lost. His untimely passing. I got to know the man extremely well because he was my neighbor. We would have little chats about issues. Aha. Now here's my friend,
boss.
Philip. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, boss.
I'm glad that you actually found the ability to join us, because I managed to bugger something up and I couldn't send you an invitation. But then I don't need to send you an invitation.
Well, no, that's the point. You don't need to. I'll now send John Prideaux a link.
Good. I just confessed to everybody that I'm flapping around in the. Oh, you've gone. I'll talk to you in a minute.
No, I'm still here. It's just
right.
I'm sending a link. So I'm on the email. I should be coming back now.
Okay.
Yeah, there I am.
Yes, I
confess. My glory.
I've forgotten now what I confess to, but anyway, it's good to have you back. We had a nice little chat yesterday. I said to a lot of people, one of the successes of Mirador television is that what the Americans call in their American football games is a broken play. In other words, they plan something and then it goes wrong. But they don't just sort of give up. They actually then adapt to that circumstance within seconds. And we are full of broken plays. Things go wrong, and we actually manage to retrieve them. But not only that, as anybody who's of a mind, if they go onto YouTube or Facebook and look at Friday's program, which was totally broken play and was one of the best programs that we've done for a while. So that's our style.
Quite so.
And particularly when I'm ill and cock up the works. And I'm not really ever ill. I just pretend to be, just to keep these guys on their toes. And Philip was on taxi duty this morning. Did you get your wife to work safely?
Yeah, more or less. It's not the longest of drives, but it's a very tricky drive. It's a mixture of the main road, the A27, with a really very hazardous outer lane right turn that you have to get right, or you're just going to get smashed. Then there's a narrow rural road that links to another but much smaller A road, the 29. Now, at that junction today, we discovered there's a burst water main that's been running for a long time, and they've finally got round to repairing it. But what's happening is that they've obviously blocked the road off to do that. And you now have a mixture of a free carriageway But when you go back and turn into the rural road, you've got people who have ignored the signs saying road closed, who are trying to get in on your left, and they're not observing the right of way. So I nearly got smashed this morning. And then because that rural road is now much busier, because people are being diverted down it, I had this driver in front of me approaching the A27, which is a dual carriageway, and there's a feeder lane at the bottom, just a left turn feeder lane. And you know what to do. You go into the lane and you just coast along with your indicator on, and then somebody will pull out and let you in. That's what's meant to happen. Well, this particular driver, who had an L plate on the back of her car, which makes me think that she's actually teaching somebody to drive, which, given the way she drove, made me very scared, because she just put the brakes on. She didn't use the feeder lane. She just came to a complete halt. And there was 2 cars behind me who felt the same way. And we all nearly had a tail bashing because of her appalling driving. So, there are these little hazards. This is one of the reasons why, no, this is the main reason, apart from her MS getting worse, but this is really why Jackie simply doesn't drive anymore, and why she's so reliant on me now. She never used to be, but it's just very stressful. Yes. Even on short trips, there's no doubt about it. The standard of driving has plummeted. You'd think it would improve given how complex the driving test now is, but no.
Yeah.
So there we are. That's the story of my journey to her work and back this morning.
Right.
But
exciting then.
You could say that. I suppose, in a sense, stress can be exciting. I've never been a great fan of driving. I'm certainly not a petrol head. And all it takes is just one other driver. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
On the way in at that very awkward right turn junction across the 27, you have to find a gap, move out, keep your indicator on, and most drivers have the intelligence to work out, because they can see the right turn ahead, that's what you're trying to do. So most of them, even if they're in the outer lane, they'll go behind me and undertake me, which is fine, because I'm the one doing the right turn. But no, not this morning. Some youngster in a souped up whatever decided, well, he just didn't see me. So he pulled out thinking these other cars were just slowing down for no reason. And he pulled out and really accelerated. And all I could see in my mirror was him, and mercifully got to the junction. And then he had the audacity to give me a beep, as if I had the audacity to be in his way. No, it's not much fun. Thankfully, it's only 3 days a week, and then I try and avoid driving if I can. But,
yes, I used to enjoy driving, but I must confess it's now on English roads, the way that you have to edge ahead and so on, it is nothing but hard work. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's how I find it.
Yeah. I suppose one can say it has increased the skill, but it hasn't increased the skill. What it's done is it's made it more confusing and complex for people who aren't very good at driving.
Precisely. You've got it in one.
Right. Now, I was yesterday, because you know how my mind works. I have decided that I am going to create a little program with the help of AI, because believe it or not, you can say to an AI thing, I mean, I wouldn't use it for anything terribly complex, but you can say, please write me a scenario of a detective who is a monk in a monastery in, say, 1000. And it will actually say, yes, of course. And it'll write you a scenario. Now, getting the pictures is a bit different, because you say to a different app, of course, please will you paint pictures on this for me? And you get a monk in a bow tie, or on the steps of the White House. Now, I don't know whether to actually decide, now this should be a comedy and the monk should wear a bow tie, or whether in fact I really want it to be a detective in a monastery in the 10th century, 11th century.
Well, there is of course a very, very fine book that became a wonderful TV series recently, by an Italian author called Umberto Eco, called The Name of the Rose. The name of the rose is centered on a very experienced monk, but who is a Hercule Poirot type.
Right.
And it's all about the events at this great sort of synod or convention by the then religious parties, the Franciscan, where things went horribly wrong because there was a series of murders. And in the end, he solves the murders. The Name of the Rose. And the TV series was fantastic.
Is that the one that Kilfoyle was based on?
No, Cadfael is a completely different set of books. That was Derek Jacobi, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. I think it was.
Derek Jacobi played Cadfael.
Yes.
No, this is an Italian-based, in Italy, monastery, synod, convention, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Well, I'll see what it comes up with, and I will run it by you before I do anything else with it, just in case it is, because as I understand it, artificial intelligence is really based on thousands and thousands of websites and so on, all amalgamated, so they can answer your question. So it may be that the answer will come up an Italian monk who solves sort of puzzles and gets clues and all the rest of it. So I'm going to be very careful. But it does seem to me that the critics say one of the things that you can do with AI is something as innocuous as that. So we'll ask John what his view is on that.
Yes, well, you must ask him that and play an equal part in the programme, please. But there's been an article, a feature on the BBC website this morning about these deep fakes of actors, voiceovers, script writers, and out there the actors, the lovies over in the States have signed and in Britain have signed an open letter to the authorities to say you've got to do something about this because it's ruining our profession.
Yes.
And this has a relevance to me because my daughter, as you know, is a cinema set decorator. So it's all a knock-on effect. When they were all on strike in America, she was out of work. when the actors and the screenwriters in America went on strike, the knock-on effect was that films were cancelled over here. And she was about to work. She was about to work on Kenneth Branagh's film, not the play. Kenneth Branagh's film of King Lear, which he was doing as a play in London at the same time.
Right.
Well, that was the first casualty. He had to abandon that cinema version.
Yes. Strangely enough, there are two things about the AI. Is a lot of movies are not made in Hollywood anymore. They're made in North Vancouver, which for some peculiar reason has got one of the better sound stages anywhere in North America.
Right.
But this has had a knock-on effect because it gave me some work in between journalism and newsreading in Vancouver of playing bit parts, which I did in a Rita Tushingham film, in a Anne Margaret film, and several others. And you normally what happened was you were called into a hotel, I think it was a Vancouver hotel in the center of Vancouver, and then you were put onto a bus, but you were called at an extraordinarily early hour, something like 7 o'clock in the morning, and you got onto the set, and what you did was you actually sat down for breakfast, and those roving canteens were exceptionally good quality. I mean, you couldn't have Richard Gere striding onto a set and having bacon and eggs for breakfast that were under par.
Of course not.
Hang on a moment. Oh no, it's okay. The chief of staff got the door. Somebody was knocking, and
it's not Stuart, is it?
No. Even he doesn't get here this early, but it is 9 o'clock now. And
it is, and as yet, Mr. Prideaux, it would be unlike him to forget, but we'll see.
Yes,
I sent him a link.
I just wondered whether because I was on that I was blocking him.
No, he sent me an email saying he'd be with us shortly.
All right, okay. But so the sound stages, the really good ones, got all the top one. But just before I forget, because I am likely to now, I forget things much more quickly than I used to. Edward Asner, who played Lou Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Crusty old,
yeah,
and as a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember which country. Oh, I think it was Kosovo actually. That they immediately, I was there, decided that I looked like Lou Grant and turned me Lou Grant, and after a little while decided I was crusty as Lou Grant.
That's funny.
But he was barred from the Hollywood sets, and he took the unions on, and they damn near ruined his career. And if it hadn't have been that he was such a good actor and also persistent in not being bullied, that he survived and then appeared in lots of smaller movies later on in his career. I see there's John the Boss Prideaux.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, John.
Regrettably, yes.
John the
Loud
Boss.
And clear. Loud and clear.
Good, jolly good, jolly good. I'll just check my levels. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're all good.
That's your new banner. I've made that for you specially.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
John the Bot.
Yeah, I think I was. I thought I was artificially intelligent. That was my strapline today.
Well, you will undoubtedly have read today's report that all the lovies in Britain and America, plus all the screenwriters, have demanded, they've written an open letter demanding that both countries do something about deep faking.
Yes. Yeah. It's
The British government claimed to have pledged to do something about it.
well, yes. How's their record on pledges?
Dreadful. Dreadful.
Um,
It's all you have to do, if we ever got skin, John, not that you ever will, but all you have to do is go to the Home Office, the immigration people, and say, I volunteer to go to Rwanda, and they'll give you $3,000.
the weather. I think the weather's better there.
Yeah, they're a bit genocidal, though, aren't they?
Yeah, swings and roundabouts, I suppose.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the swings and machetes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is.
Anyway,
I think the tardiness of response to the issues is one of the most concerning things, really. Because it could help in so many ways. Because one of the big issues I was reading, the sort of commercial uptake of AI tools to help with efficiency and profitability and all of that is being severely slowed down because of the trust in the tools and the data and security and so on. So that kind of legislation, I mean, the deep fakes is one part of the whole range of things, but being more proactive, responsive and sensible about putting in the safeguards would help to improve that trust, and it would all, we'd get more of the benefits and less of the threats.
Quite well. That's
Yes.
a very logical, very sound equation. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
But if I see a program in which anybody says "toodle pip," I'm going to claim copyright.
Yeah. Is that yours, Keith?
John, you'll be flattered, I think, to hear from Keith that you have inspired him to experiment with bots. And his most recent attempt was he wanted a scenario whereby a monk in the 10th century was a private detective. The scenario verbally wasn't a problem, apparently. But when he tried to do images, all he got was a monk wearing a bow tie in front of the White House. Take it from there, Keith.
Yeah. What happened next?
Keith.
Didn't cause an insurrection, did it?
Oh, I think he's gone. Keith.
Oh, he's frozen.
You're breaking up, actually.
No, we're okay. It's the signal in Deck's place.
Yeah, he's gone again.
Yeah.
This is live, everybody. Live TV. Although
I'm afraid it is. I'm just going to do this. Hang on. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
You're having a bad morning, aren't you, Keith?
Yes, I am. But then again, it's been bad all week, and and it's only 3 days into the week, so I think I'm not going to get out of bed tomorrow.
Well, you've got a long weekend to look forward to. So we've got a monk with a bow tie standing outside the White House. We were very keen to know what happened after that.
Well, actually, my initial tests of AI was I am fascinated, and I'm going to I'm on the way to produce a little historical vignette, which I would like to be a feature of Mirador. The only thing is that I haven't had the time yet. But Philip, God bless him, he's beginning to create a little bit of time for me. But I'm fascinated by Horatio Bottomley, and I actually put to is it GBT? Could you give me a history of Horatio Bottomley? Well, it got it vaguely right in terms of the text, but when I actually asked it to find some video and pictures, it had Horatio Bottomley in patently a 1930s bow tie. It had him on the steps of the White House and all sorts of other things reflecting his political career and the fact that he was very debonair and a man of some flair. So it hasn't been terribly successful so far.
I suppose you could say it had been quite creative. It had used quite a bit of artistic license.
Absolutely, you're telling me.
See, that's the flip side, Keith. You're actually being creative.
You created something that no one would ever have imagined.
Quite incredible.
Right. Okay.
Talking of which, you set me a challenge last time, which was to, and I couldn't quite remember, and I couldn't find the clip, but it was something about Triffids and mobility scooters. I think that's sort of
That's right.
So, and whether we could produce some kind of animation. So, I did have a little fiddle.
Are you with us, Keith?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just had to turn off the outside camera, and so I was concentrating on that for just 10 seconds. Okay, go ahead.
So,
try a little animation.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I had similar issues really. There's a sort of combination of Chat GPT and Leonardo, which is the free version is fairly basic. So, but it does have some animation aspects. Don't put it up yet. Okay.
Oh.
I was just going to find. Sorry, I've just got it. This is the one. Right, you can do it. You can do it now. So this is an hour's work yesterday evening. I don't know if you can hear it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tasty. It's not red.
There you go. That was
John,
you must put that up on social media.
Absolutely.
I prefer you to do it because when you send stuff to me, it sometimes takes time to get through.
Right.
That is just absolutely hilarious, and I think you should share it with everybody.
Because it was a bit of a learning experience, just seeing how to do these things. So what was interesting was that the first step was to, which I haven't really exploited yet, but you get Chat GPT to act like a professional animator, and then you give it a little storyline, and then it will break it up into scenes, and it will say, you know, pan down Lewis High Street, you know, close up of scooter outside bakery, a friendly Triffid walks in from the right. It sort of uses the language that they would use to describe the scenes. And then you take those and then you put those into the animation software to develop the animation for you. But you have to take a picture. Well, first I missed a step. You have to create a picture of your scene first, just a still. So use an AI picture generation tool to do that, and then you take that picture and then you put that in the software, and then it animates it. So there's quite a few steps. So those 3 little scenes, simple scenes, took a while to put together. There's also the friendly Triffid. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the Triffids as they appeared in the films.
It doesn't. It looks more like a Ninja Turtle, actually.
It does, yeah. So there's that question of interpretation, like with your monk. So it has an idea of what it thinks you mean, and it might not really be what you're after. But on the other hand, it was quite an amusing picture. And my next challenge is to sort of combine those things. So, which is a bit tricky. So to get that character involved in the other scenes with the scooter or whatever. So anyway, that's a start. We've made some inroads into and that's all free. That didn't cost me anything to produce at all.
Oh, that's a relief. So you're not going to charge, Keith?
Apart from my time, obviously. Yeah, I'll send you the bill for that.
Yeah, so, he will, Keith. He will. I'll tell you. You'll be on that flight to Rwanda before you know it.
Yes. It looks as if I'm in line already. We've had our fingers slapped for having a camera out pointing out of the window. I don't quite understand that, so I'll have to get once we finish today's broadcast, I will get an interpretation of what's wrong with it. I can only think that it's because you can see people very clearly. The rules of photography and publishing are a bit murky, to say the least. But I think the thing is that if it's an identifiable picture, in other words, if we can tell that it's Philip Meredith, then we need your permission to use it. If it's a general picture, in other words, in a crowd, then we're okay, because it would be ludicrous to, for instance, take a shot of Oxford Street and get permission from absolutely everybody. So I think that's probably what the interpretation is, but I must find out, because
there's also a time and place. So because you're live, you know that. So if you did recognize somebody somebody could be watching, and they recognize somebody who doesn't want to be known that they're there at that time. It is a picture. You don't know when that was, so it's less. Sensitive.
That's a very good point. So, Keith, the knock on the door that Declan answered, was that somebody objecting to the camera? No.
This is a call from Ofcom. So somebody probably has phoned them, because I know that Ofcom wake up every morning and switch on Mirador straight away.
Yes, that's the high risk channel.
So I think that somebody probably has phoned and sort of said, "Hey, is this permitted or whatever?"
What you need is a bit of AI, Keith. So
yes, that's right.
It would recognise the faces, and it would pixelate them out, and pixelate out number plates and things like that in real time.
Well, where's the fun then? I mean,
well, as we go on, John. Perhaps I will hint to you a real challenge that you've likely to get in August, assuming that I can swing it. But I spoke to a company called a TV Startup 2 nights ago. I wasn't feeling terribly well, but I took the call and had a chat. We will throughout the summer negotiate to get onto one of the streaming companies, and I've forgotten its name just now. But if we do, we will be available to 174 million viewers.
Golly.
Yes. So get ready to pixelate 174 million.
Another way around it, what you could do, you could film yourself walking, make sure there's no one else around, like early morning, you just walk past a few times and then just put it on a loop.
Yes, that's the answer.
There's a comment on StreamYard from Therese Richardson, who I saw for the first time yesterday. She was caring for Keith. She says, I'm watching with my 3-year-old granddaughter. She loves Keith's hat and loved the turtle. A turtle. I think you're onto something there. A new character for children's animation, perhaps. Maybe Keith the turtle. P.S. P.S. She likes your scooter. Well, she doesn't know it's red. I mean,
we've made an impact. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep working that up. If they'd like to send in some storylines, we'll see what we can develop.
Well, you'd be surprised that having met Therese, I think she would.
I think there are so many, so many things could happen next. Maybe Keith the turtle is going to leap onto the scooter and drive it away, or maybe he's going to grab the pastries as Keith comes out, looks up at the sky wistfully and doesn't notice the scurrying turtle. Yeah, but there's many ways it could go.
Well, he won't have noticed the turtle, because by that time he'll have fallen over.
I mean, of course, in Lewis, maybe the scooter's left on bricks with the wheels missing.
No, that's Liverpool. Sorry.
Now Ofcom will be ringing in again. Watch out.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get banned now.
I mean, perhaps I can do a little series with John's help. It's 50 ways to fall without hurting yourself.
Well, I heard a story the other day from a chap who, a relative of my wife's, and he was walking into his village to buy some bread or go to the bank or something very innocuous. And as he was strolling along, one of those, those plastic tapes that bound up parcels, that white, you can't tear it, you've got to cut it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Well, a bit kind of suddenly wrapped itself around his ankles, and that formed like a noose. And with his momentum, he had quite a bad fall and hit his face and damaged his hands.
Oh, that's not nice at all.
I mean, so extraordinary, freak. Just this bit of plastic blowing around in the wind suddenly wraps itself, and boom. You're a goner,
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, Keith, without going off at too much of a tangent, Keith has learned how to fall and does really very well.
It's called the Keith roll, is it? No.
Yeah. So, like you suggest, it's a bit like, is it Paul Simon, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover? Well, this is 50 Ways for Keith to Fall. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your in-law. That's not nice.
No, it was. I mean, he's recovering okay, but it was all a bit of a shock. He couldn't shake hands.
No.
So there was something, I don't know if you spotted it, Phil. So going back to AI, the purpose of this program.
It is meant to be the purpose, but we do get tangential, Mr.
We do get tangential. Yeah. I was thinking. I've just had a thought about 50 ways to treat your liver or something. That would be another one, wouldn't it?
No, you're on dodgy ground there with me, and you know that. God, you're just cheeky.
I know, I'm awful.
Sadly,
But you like it.
ways.
I'm
There are no
awful,
ways
but you
to
like
treat
it.
your liver. That's the problem. Now, what's my liver got to do with AI?
Nothing. No, that just popped into my head after you said 50 ways to leave your lover. It was a residual.
It's a bit like you telling us about your unfortunate relative.
Yeah, these
But
things
he
just.
said he was walking into his village to do something innocuous like go to the bank. Villages don't have banks anymore.
Well, this was the thing. It was a bank. I remember now. He had to drive. He had to drive to another village where there was a bank.
Oh, right.
So actually, had there been a bank where he was, this accident may never have happened. So it's all the banks' fault.
So it's the village he had to go to that has designed a trap whereby unwitting strangers, aliens, are lassoed by their ankles by tape, which causes them to fall over and hurt themselves rather badly. That's a bit mean.
Then they never go back, and then the bank says, well, we haven't got enough people coming through, so we'll close this one as well. Interestingly, his wife said there were 3 other ways he could have walked from the car park to the high street, and he chose that particular one, which she wouldn't have. So she blames him for taking an unusual route.
That is a classic. Why didn't you walk one of the other ways? Oh, I can just hear her say that. That's exactly what Jackie Meredith would have said.
Anyway, back to AI. I saw that Meta, so META, who own Facebook and Instagram and lots of other things, they're predicting to spend this year around $40 billion on AI.
Yeah.
That's about 32 billion pounds, which is about half the UK defence budget, or about a third of the NHS budget. I mean, it's just eye-watering amounts of money that they are planning to spend. I don't know quite how you actually spend that much. I'm guessing acquisitions and things like that.
Well, it is a mind-boggling figure.
Yeah, and yeah, they're as a result, their share price crashed by 15%.
Oh my goodness!
And because they say it's going to take quite a few years before they even start to see any payback, and a lot of the focus is on advertising. That's so in order to create the revenues, they're using AI to help with advertising, which I don't know, sort of tells you something, doesn't it, about modern society, where the emphasis lies, where people spend their money.
Absolutely.
But to counter that, I was pleased to hear that there's the Worcestershire Royal Hospital started to use in March new AI technology to analyze brain scans of stroke patients.
Yes.
And they already believe they stated that they think about 30 people have received life-saving treatment as a result. So,
well, that's the flip side. As you pointed out from program 1, it's pros and cons, like so much in life. But it's the cons, as a la the actors, screenwriters, their open letter. That is where the legislation should kick in.
Yes,
that's where the supervision is needed, isn't it?
Yeah. Could you draft something up, Phil? Maybe give them a hand.
Do you know, it would be completely beyond me. Even if I were in practice, which I'm not anymore, it would have been beyond me, because it would have to be incredibly detailed, and I would need to know about the subject. So,
yeah, it needs.
I think it's a job for you.
it needs teams of people, really. It needs.
Yeah, on a serious level, it does. I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult. Indeed. There's another message from Therese. Turtles are good because if they fall onto their backs, they struggle to get up, just like Keith.
Yes.
I think this is becoming a bit of a continual theme, Keith.
It is. I mean, I don't want to take away from the vital time that John is enlightening us about artificial intelligence, but once I lived on a farm in Northern Ireland, and I came home one day to see a sheep struggling in the field on its back, and they can't. Once they're on the back, they can't get up. So I went and leapt over the fence, tore my trousers in the process, raced over, hauled the sheep to its feet, and then saw the farmer's wife grinning at me with my backside sticking out of my trousers.
Right, John, can you
ever
since I've thought about me on my back.
Have you ever thought about going on Would I Lie to You, Keith? I think you've got some good stories that would.
Oh, that's nothing. I mean, his stories and his name dropping. Oh, anyway, could you make a note of that, John?
Yeah.
Keith showing his backside to a farmer's wife whilst holding a sheep. That could be very interesting.
Right. I'm just going to pop away for a moment and let.
Are you still there, John? Oh, there.
I'm still here. Yes. Oh, Keith is back.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's hard to follow that, isn't it?
I'll just.
Yeah, JP, I'm sorry it's been so fragmented and sort of haphazard, this program today. I don't know why, but it just is one of those days.
It's a characteristic. It's a feature of the style.
It is.
Yeah,
it just shows how wacko this so-called TV channel is.
Yeah. I like the external messages coming in as well. That's very good. That's. I was wondering. So I was going to ask Keith if when he falls on his back, if anyone's ever tried to spin him round like you can with a turtle, because that could be.
I imagine the answer is yes. Somebody will have done. He's back now. Are you back?
Yes, I am.
Well, John wants to know, when you've been on your back for whatever reason, has anybody tried to spin you around and get you back on your feet again?
Yes. In fact, I mean, quite seriously, I had to have an emergency ambulance team come and get me back on my feet because I just couldn't get back myself. So it can be a bit serious. The only thing is that when I'm there going like this, trying hard to right myself, I realize just how ludicrous I must look, and it makes me laugh. So
that's good.
From disaster, I get a bit of a giggle.
Well, that's good. That shows a very positive mindset.
There is I can make an AI link with this as well, because one of the challenges they have with robotics is if a robot falls over, it needs to be able to get itself back up again. So they actually have to, program them and design them in a way that they can re-establish their erectness.
Right. Well. In my case, the human brain isn't as good as robotics.
So, John, talking of robots, have you had the time to read that Asimov book I lent you?
I'm afraid I haven't. No, it's still sitting on the side, waiting for
It's not that I want it back. I don't want it back. It's just that it's a book called I, Robot.
I did read. I sort of read about the first paragraph, and then I don't know, got distracted, and I haven't picked it up. I've got so many books that I've half read as well. It's really bad.
Well, all it takes are some images of a car park, and you're distracted. You're away.
Well, that's it. Yes, yeah. Well, I'm heading up to town today on the train, so maybe I'll take it with me and Thanks. That's a good reminder. I'll at least get halfway through it before I put it down.
Well, it would be interesting. I would be interested to know what you think of it, because Jackie bought it for me. I'm not sci-fi at all, but actually I made the point of finishing it.
Although you look like you've been made by aliens, don't you?
Yes, thank you very much. Have you put your bins out this morning, John?
I have, yes. Yeah.
Shame. But I accept that there are times that I behave and look like an alien, and as my neighbour, you've sadly witnessed that a few times. But it is a book that provokes a lot of thought, even on a primitive level, about the power of ultra intelligent robots. And that's the point. And this is a lot of foresight, because Asimov, this was written, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. So yeah, if you get a chance. So you're off up to London today?
I am. Yeah.
Well, I hope the trains are okay for you.
Up to London, then down to Brighton, then back home, doing a triangle.
Oh, right. Did you say a triangle? The
I was in
Bermuda Triangle.
Eastbourne at the weekend.
You were in Eastbourne, were you?
I was, yeah. I get around, you know.
Clearly so. Was that for leisure or for work?
It was leisure. It was a family gathering, which is where I picked up the falling tape story.
Of course, of course. What's that voice, Keith? There's a voice in the background. Oh no, sorry. I thought it was.
It's Jeff on the phone.
No, got you. Sorry. Yes. Well, I was sort of apologising to John when you disappeared. That this has been really rather fragmented, rather classical Mirador program where about 30% of the time has been spent on the subject matter.
Well, it's. I think that actually, what comes out of these chats takes us on little adventures on the side, and I mean, I'm fascinated that John has been trying to get animation out of the AI. Now, you know, I think in terms of video and also.
That's more like it.
This is a whole new area for me.
This is one I'm going to try animating next.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Proper Triffid on I wish it were red, mobility scooter.
Well, I can add that. It won't come up with the same thing, but I can make the scooter. I'll ask it to make the scooter red. If that makes it adds a bit more realism, and that's apparently Lewis High Street as well. I don't know if you
it is up the Upper High Street. Yeah. So if you were to say to the bot, whatever it is you communicate with, make the scooter red, might it come up with a book? If you get my, because you've been saying how abstract.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You never know what it's going to come up with.
It makes it exciting, though, doesn't it? You never know what we're going to get.
Exactly.
So that is certainly a Triffid.
Oh, I can't get the right thing on. Swap displays. There we go.
They were the Vespers, as opposed to a mobility scooter.
Yes, it's interesting. When it comes up with a selection of photos, and sort of 1 in 4 will be a mobility scooter. The other 3 will be ordinary scooters, or
yes,
like a stand-on scooter.
It
doesn't seem to be quite sure.
No, but the icing on the cake would be to get a lookalike of the Red Devil. That would be great.
Okay, we'll see if we can do that. So I'll end that one. You can
Yes.
bring it back.
John, just a couple of semi-serious things. Is you said that had cost you nothing, but when I went into GBT, whatever, it said you can have 2 weeks for £2.50, and after that it'll cost you more or less £10 a month. The first one I used, I thought was free, and you just mentioned being free.
Yeah, it depends. So there's chat. I think GPT 3.5 is free, but I think you can have a. I think if you sign up for the pro version, you get Chat GPT 4, and so there's various sort of levels. So as you start to pay and pay more, you get more recent data that it has available to it, and various other features. One of the the shopping list assistant that I showed a couple of weeks ago, that needed the pro version, so that's so much a month. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
But then there's like team version. So if you want to share things with a team, then there's another level up. I think it's about $25 a head or something like that. The animation, again, there's a free version, but then if you want to do smarter things with it, then you have to start paying more. There's also a limit to the number of things you can do, so you run out of credits. So if on the free version, you have to wait for your credits to kind of build up again. Or you can buy credits and then you've got like unlimited use. It's a little bit like your phone charges. So that there's lots of bamboozling combinations that can be a bit bewildering.
The other one that I looked at and talked to some people at, I can't remember, PA or somebody in London, is there is a localized artificial intelligence, whatever you call them, that will actually suss out all the local news for you. Well, when I say all the local news, for instance, if you want to keep an eye on what the council is doing locally, you can. They have an app which will suss out everything that goes on, and then you can decide what's important to you. But instead of you having to search all the websites, it does it for you. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that sounds very, very plausible. I think it's sort of been going on a while. AI has helped it to be even more speedy and process a lot more information than some of the older sort of scanning applications that were around. So there was for quite a while. There's been things that will scan on a topic and bring things back together. But it's just the power of it now is just increased.
I mean, as we grow, that sort of thing could be important to us because we will need to up our game when it comes to local news and so on. And that is traditionally so far has been very human resource intensive. Now it can be machine intensive.
Yeah, these types of things are very very easy, if you like, for AI to do, scanning large databases of information and just pulling out what you need. So like, planning applications that, go back 10, 20 years, you could go all the way back and find examples of things to maybe help your case. To if the council is deciding that they don't, they want to reject your plan, and you can go back and say, well, here's one from 2001 which was identical, and you approve that. So why?
Yeah.
Um,
And one other thing that I valued in your program is you are not necessarily how wonderful this is. You've raised some alerts of some of the dangers, and you do mention them. But is there anything specific that's crossed your radar since you were last on, where you said, "Hey, we've got to watch out for this"?
I think well, there's a reiteration of the concern that I had around, particularly around audio cloning, and there's another example I saw. I think it was in the US, where a principal, as they call them, of a school, somebody got a clip of their voice and then generated sort of racist statements and so on, and put them on social media. And that sort of mix of these things being really easy to do and then really easy to broadcast to lots of people, millions of people, billions. That was just sort of reiterated the dangers of that. And it's these sort of rather vindictive and hurtful use that people, I mean, they'll always find a way, I suppose, but AI gives them a tool that's very accessible, very cheap to do these things, and it might not be a big, a huge scam or whatever, but it might just be a hurtful, nasty content created just to target an individual, just because they've got a problem with them or so. So yeah, that's the one thing that's come up across my radar this week.
That's which I was aware. I think it was in New Hampshire somewhere. It doesn't matter. That to me sums up the potential evils, mischief of AI and then social media linking up.
Yeah.
With no real supervision or monitoring.
Yeah. And I think the thing for me is it wouldn't be that hard to do it either. So the tools and the products that generate these things could be forced to include some kind of visible or audio or even an invisible watermark of some kind, which flags that it's been created, that it's not it's not genuine. And then the social media tools could just detect that, and at the very least put a warning on it that we detect that this has been created. That's eminently possible, but I don't see any sign of it happening.
So there you are. You have pinpointed as somebody who knows exactly what he's talking about, what could be done, and it would seem very straightforwardly to the technicians who know what they're doing to protect the target of the AI fake, and then everybody else, and him or her as well, it being spread through social media. But nothing like that is currently in place.
No, and I suspect it's people. It's political reasons or commercial reasons. So the application makers will probably argue that, or they might not argue because they might not want this to be really known. They don't want to inhibit the use of their tool in any way. So they don't want to put things in which will put people off using it. So, and maybe if you produce something and every time it comes up there's a warning on it, you then try and find a tool that didn't do that.
The thought to me that an organisation, for whatever commercial reasons, is prepared to tolerate the usage of their technology for something so nasty as what we've just been talking about.
It should be detrimental to them, really.
Yes, it should be. It should be. It should be a stigma.
I think they're also fearful of further legislation. So it's, I think I mentioned before with OpenAI, they pulled their audio cloning, but I think it was more. It's possibly more of a virtual signaling type thing that we're able to self-regulate. So don't worry about creating laws for us. We're very responsible, and we will take steps ourselves. So there is a bit of that, but you can't rely on it. I think that's the problem, and it's all self-interest in the end. When you look at the amount of money involved, I think that's always going to distort things. And
anyway, it's 10 to 10. Next in
Cowboy
line
time.
is the steadfast, glorious Stuart Dolby. So I think, John, we'll end this program and let you prepare for your trip to London.
Thank you very much. I shall beetle off and
hope that you'll come and see us again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
I'll work on those turtle and
that's good stuff. You've got our viewers chortling and said turtles are good because if they fall on their back, they struggle to get up, just like Keith.
Okay, John.
Okay then. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks, John.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
10, 15, 20, 30 years' time, the technology of renewable energy will...
Okay, Mr. Phillip. Another good session.
I'm going to leave you to your great friend, Stuart.
Okay.
And I will see you at 8:45 tomorrow. I'll join you, and then I'll invite on the mystery guest.
Great. Look forward to it.
Okay.
Okay, Philip. Bye.
The trouble with wave power, it's the same as wind.
Okay. Let's end that session. We'll be back with Stuart in just a few minutes' time. Toodle pip.
It was too expensive.